Yes, good evening, everyone. I would invite Dr. Harpreet Kaur Garcha, President, iSPELL Chhattisgarh Forum, to start the event. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Pramodji.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Thank you, Pramodji. Audible?
Yes.
Thank you, Pramodji. It's a very good afternoon to everyone.
Harpreet, ma'am, you are not audible.
Pramod, she is audible. Yes, ma'am. Kindly start.
Thank you, Pramodji. A very good afternoon to every one of you. It's a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome all the eminent speakers.
Harpreet, ma'am, you are muted. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry, sir. I start again. A very good afternoon to every one of you. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all the eminent speakers, learned chairperson, the master of iSPELL, Professor G.A. Ghanesham, respected EC members of all the forums, and the august participants assembled and linked with us today on the virtual platform of Zoom and YouTube. I take this opportunity to extend my regards to one and all. We are indeed honored to have you all with us today. March 20th brings about the March equinox, called the vernal or the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere, and then marks the autumnal equinox in the southern hemisphere. On this day, the sun shines directly over the equator. And Indian Society for the Promotion of English Language and Literature, properly known by the acronym iSPELL, celebrates the March equinox by ushering the spring with 79 Sunday Sahityik Satsang, with yet another deliberation on different shades of Dalit literature to facilitate, to elevate the taste and bliss in the field of English language and literature, and to share and impart expertise of renowned academicians to its members of fraternity and stakeholders. iSPELL advocates that potential is always there. The need is to bring out from the margin to center. Today, our talk is also being focused on how the marginalized Dalits have been striving for centuries to come to the center, searching for an identity. Dalit literature is a creative and literary expression which transforms the social realities in various literary genres. It was an offshoot of Indian literature and represented an emerging trend in the Indian literary scene. Dalit literature is primarily a social and human document which deals with the people who have socially and economically exploited in India for hundreds of years. But there is a good sign of social equality slowly entering in India. Credit goes to the concerned activists and to Dalit literature. And to elaborate on this topic, hope for social uniformity and merger of Dalit community as decent and equal citizens of the country, we have the honor to have with us Professor Deepika Dhand, Pro Vice Chancellor, Maths University, Raipur. And for gracing the chair, we are privileged to have Dr. Virendra Turkar, Assistant Professor of English, Yashwant Rao Chauhan College, Lakhandur, Bhandara. And to moderate the session, we have with us Ms. Shrishti Sharma. May I invite Ms. Srishti Sharma. But before that, a word about her. Ms. Srishti Sharma is a lecturer in English at Swami Atmanand Government Excellent English Medium School, Dongargaon. She has a teaching experience of 7 years, and she is also a member of iSPELL and other social welfare groups like Ek Kadam and Ajax and others. She has attended, participated, and moderated sessions in various seminars and workshops, and she is also the proud recipient of awards like Best Teacher from Ajax, and she has also received for the social work from the social institution Ek Kadam. So such a personality we have to moderate us through the session. And I welcome to you, Srishti ma'am. Over to you for further proceedings.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good evening to all the dignitaries of iSPELL. It's my immense pleasure to be a part of such dignified forum. And I welcome one and all for 79th Sunday Sahityak Satsang on hope for social uniformity and merger of Dalit community as decent and equal citizens of the country. Thankful to my motherly speaker, Dr. Garcha, for giving me this opportunity to be a master of ceremonies for today's event. As Ma'am Garcha have given us a short glimpse of our guest of honor, so today we have with us Professor Deepika Jhan Ma'am, Pro Vice Chancellor, Maths University, Raipur, as our keynote speaker, and Dr. Virendra Turkar, Assistant Professor of English, Yashwant Rao Chauhan College, Lakhandur, Bhandara, as our chairperson. Respected ma'am and sir, on behalf of entire iSPELL family, I welcome you both. It's my privilege to present a brief bio note of our elite guest. So, I would like to share with all of you about Professor Jhan. She is a scholarly figure with finest educational qualification that she pursued from Delhi University, IGNU, LLB from Barkatullah University, Bhopal, MP, and doctorate that titled Cost Effective Delivery Systems in Teaching and Learning English Language from Pandit Ravi Shankar University. She has a long work experience and played vital role as HOD English and CBSE Chief Controller of Exams, English CG Region, DPS Durg, Chief Editor and HOD, Disha Education Society, Director, Training and English Communication, and Pro Vice Chancellor, Maths University. She has actively participated and presented papers on national and international platforms. Also, she is part of remarkable projects like innovative communication skills of students of government boys and digital cost-effective delivery systems in teaching and learning. She has also published books that shows her fine literary skills, authenticity, English grammar, business, communication, simplifying spelling and structures. And it's a matter of pride to tell about her that she has been awarded from Z Digital Excellence Award as Pro Vice Chancellor, Maths University, Raipur, Excellence in Distance Learning Education. So now, with all honor, I request you, ma'am, to enlighten us by your lecture. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Srishti. Is it fine? Should I start? No. Thank you, Srishti. I'm very happy to be amongst all of you, delighted to project a feature which is a very, very important a part of our, not only the political, social, cultural, and the marginalized feature of a very important part of our society, which I would like to project globally. Now, I thank you, Dr. Viren Tarkar, Shrishti Sharma, of course, and Dr. Harpreet Kaur, so that I'm here today to participate, hopefully. And let's start with the title first. Now, what this title, hope, first of all, we should have a hope whenever there is a degeneration or a disaster in a very, very upcoming. So I'm going to talk about hope for this community, the Dalit community, which comes from the word Dalita. Dalita, which means subjugated, downtrodden, and for social uniform. I want a uniformity. Now we wear the same uniform. So in society, you can't have everybody the same way, the same wearing the same uniform. I wanted the uniformity for grace, for decency, so that they do the different, they will do different types, and the merger of Dalit community as respectable sections of society. Now, if you remember, I will give little episodes in a story form under the backdrop of historical industrialization, post-colonialism, and of historical people who are important and who have tried to change the society. But I want the whole social community be merged into, first of all, in India, these are my views, and globally, they should be respected. And with the change of communication, net, and all kinds of facilities, we are able to interact. Even today, we are interacting. Otherwise, it won't have been able for me to sit here and talk to about billions of people together at a certain moment of time. Now, as equal citizens of the country, here, of course, it's India, but all over the globe, these kind of movements, the Dalit in India, the Afro-American movements. First, we will, talk about this in length as I go through. So, first of all, I would like to reiterate the meaning of. I browsed through a lot of nets and how many people, but it was what is this and what is active. I am basically going to go through the movements, the reformations, but I'm also going to tell you that some of these writers, how they have tried to convince and showed us the pathetic state of our time. Now, first of all, the term Dalit has its origins from the Sanskrit word Dalita, signified. It implies a caste that is considered the most considered. Now, the Varna system, everything has been distorted over time. Everything was like a golden. India itself was, say, the Kohinoor was transferred from here to there. It was like a golden, and 75% of the GDP of India was, we were the richest people in India, and how we were impoverished after 200 years of colonial. About those beautiful days when the Hindus, Muslims, Mughals, whatever, all kinds of. Now, Dalit communities, Dalit as a section of society has also led to affected areas, inferior sections of the caste, gender, politicals, and ideological deformities in society first and globally. So when we come across the fictional works of Bharti Mukherjee, Jhumpa Lahiri, Anita Desai, Kiran Desai, in my PPT the spelling is wrong, Kavita Deswani, M.G. Vaswani, B.S. Naipaul, Hari Kunjru. They've all given, now when you tell your research scholars, critically analyze or become a feminist or a womanist. Now, we are not here to criticize. Critically analyze doesn't mean you're critically analyzing, you're criticizing. You have to get a more diplomatic view. Why was this situation like this? Why was there a need to segregate them and make it? Why were they not merged from the beginning? Why did they not fight for the rights from time side by side? Okay, everybody in Untouchable, there was one Bakha and some Lakha, Bulkrat and Anand, right? So what he talks about the untouchables who used to stay outside, polish the suit, and his father used to just have pan and cigarette, Lakha Bakha. Now this shows, you depict the stories. This shows the nonchalant, because there was nothing to look forward for the father. How much will we live? We are all going to live for 100 years. If I was born, say, for 60 years behind this age, okay, so I would have thought I would be survival for the fittest would be my father came from Lahore. So the kind of problems my grandmother used to tell us, there were 6 brothers and sisters and how they all studied. Education is the most important thing. But it was for the parents to understand how can you come out of that situation. Okay, so now Dalit literature is a part of the World Republic of Letter, a very renowned literature which expresses the the republic attitude of the system. So then we go a little further. Now, this is the World Republic of Letters. These are renowned, just like you have the Guinness Book of World Records. All movements, all social sites, all republic literature is, if you go through Wikipedia and all, you can go through it and understand that Dalit literature has been in the... Okay, now it is started. Now, Santhian Clerk remarks, the subordination and subjugation that marks the lives of the Dalit in India. Now, Dalit itself is a plural, so there's no point in citing it. Into the counters of a particular coexistential assembly of subalternity. Now, this is Ambedkar here in this photograph. The literary movement was started by in the homeland of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the crusader of the crown. Why was there only one? Have you ever thought? Only Ambedkar, and there was so much of political and ideology. If you go through the history that he had to fight, even though he was the founder of the Constitution of India, he was... Now, nobody frames the Constitution alone. You have to be a member of the Constitution of that person, and you have to assert yourself. So first you asserted by being educated, and then you had problems with the political and ideological issues. And even today, the Congress party worked very hard for 30 years, and now there are millions of parties, and there is so you have to see the past, you have to see what has happened, and you have to understand that is politics not working for the welfare of a society, and how can you combat this? How can you combat that? I will also like to tell you some stories. Now, resentment against these people who are responsible for their presence, it raises questions about the status and condition of them. Now, Chandala, these are all old English words. Chandala in traditional Indian literature. See, everything is connected. And how we have reached this stage after revolts, reforms, and resolutions and education, how we have to go further in a uniform fashion, which he is asked to stay out of the village, and Chandalas were made to do only very, very menial, dirty works, disposing the dead bodies with no money to be given. He's asked to stay out of, he is associated with dogs, pigs. Now, Devdutt Patnaik, the master of mythology, Devdutt Patnaik's literature form of mythology is brilliant. And I would like you to go through it, the scholars. As long as there are spaces for polluting these, there is a chance of dignity of labor. There is no dignity of labor even till today. There is a lot of improvement, but you can't expect, like in the United States, my children, my daughter is there. So she even cleans the excreta herself, and they come in a car, the workers, and unless you don't give them proper wages to work per hour, they eat on the same dining table. Can you expect expect your mates coming in and eating on the same table and eating on the same tiny table. You can't. However good we are to them today, the Kamwalis come, or we used to call them Bai first when I was a child, Aya and Chaprasi. I would like the dignity of labor, where the domestic hired servants, they eat the same. Okay. Now, if you go through our caste work, Marx and Ambedkar debate, there is a lot of controversy. Then you have parties coming in. Again, ideological problems. Rashtra, Swam, Sevaks, RSS. Now, Jyoth was the searchlight, which also talks about the marginalization of the Dalit community. Now, the aim of all these movements was to liberate Dalit from the oppressive forces of the Indian society. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's influence was immense. Elimination. First, he talked about the elimination of the caste system. Now, don't think caste was anything bad. It was, in fact, a very good deal when money was not the barter system. The shoemaker will come and give shoes, and the shoemaker in the olden times, Varna is a basic, from the Dharam Shastras, if you go through it, the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, they worked hand in hand together with the uniform system, with nothing of Shudras, the last class, which was formed much later due to the distortion of these people. Now, even in medieval times, Hindu Muslims worked hand in hand because there were external circumstances, whether it was the Britishers or the Turks coming in, and all the the biases and those bad vibes going from one Hindus to, and especially the India-Pakistan wars. Even in the 1971 war, Indira Gandhi was there. They won the war, but the element was not even the problem still perpetuated. Now, what we have to think that we are spoiling our own self, the individual character, but don't think even when you are becoming Mahatma Gandhi, and you are becoming an Ambedkar, right, with Ambedkar Nama. No, we have a uniform society. We have to work hand in hand with spirituality, equanimity. Now, with the Bhagavad Gita, our source, our equal vision of the Bhagavad Gita, there is one watchword in the Gita, and that is Samta, equanimity. This equanimity has many nuances. Equanimity with respect to objects. Don't think Bhagavad Gita is a one ancient Kurukshetra and Arjun war. Equanimity with respect to living beings, with respect to experiences. And experience will change, yes. Because today I can go out taking a car and sitting in the good institution studying. But I could have not done 100 years before. There was no technology. I wouldn't be talking to you. So according to the change of times, with now in Ukraine, all the students would have invested in loans of education in Ukraine. So you must start from the origin. Why did it happen? And the origin was always good. And in the middle, it started. Then we had these one or two Mahatmas coming in. And don't write, when we always question the research scholars, critically analyze. So criticize. Okay, criticize. Now, Arundhati Roy started criticizing Gandhi also. And in a way, Gandhi's disobedience movement. Now, I was a school teacher also. So I had to get some work done from the other teachers. So, they used Gandhi's, perverted the policy of disobedience. They didn't have any violent vibes or criticize. Quietly, they did not do their work. And they thought that this was Gandhi's disobedience, salt walk. No, you have to not the social leaders, you have to respect them. And the importance, the satyagraha, then Dalit also, that you should all clean your own toilets. Now we have Hindi movies also. A Hindi movie, a toilet nahi tha village mein, and to construct toilets, even the government is asserting programs district wise, so that these toilets have to especially for the ladies, for the women, and so that everything is important. Don't to live hygienically, to eat proper nutrition food, and all this you have to work according. But you should not. And now here I want to, the poem of Hira Dome is considered the first Dalit piece of writing, and Swami Achut, there was one Achut book, I think Bedkar or somebody, social movement and writings revealed a great process. Now, if you go back to medieval times, I'm trying to tell you everything what I feel actually, and I don't want to become a revolution or transform, but as a society as a whole, dignity of labor, respect, decency, Constitution of India, Bhagavad Gita, I want to see you people as a well balanced person, and yet not revolt, never revolt, balance yourself. All right, now let me go back to Chanakya Niti. Now, again, he belonged to a low class Chandragupta. He was not a dynastic king, Chandragupta Maurya. Now, he was a small boy of 8 years old, and he didn't even have, I saw the movie, I was very touched. He didn't even have, this wood to burn his mother's. They were very poor. The mother, wood, he didn't have wood to burn his mother's dead body. Maurya, her name was, I think, in the book. So then one day Chanakya saw him. He was a boy of 8 years, and he was acting like a king. I will do this, I will kill this, and I will kill this. So Chanakya saw the potential in him, and he, he read him up through good virtues, and right now he became Chandragupta Maurya first. He conquered Alexander, a lot of northern India states, and he helped Chanakya with the wise, Chanakya raised him with a lot of politically explained him, and today he became a king. Also, so all these, they come from this low class scheduled caste. Now, if you come to equality in the Constitution of India, now, fundamental rights, being a student of political science, in chapter 3, yes, chapter 3, equality, I think is article number 14, and my Constitution, equality and equality before the law. Now, then you have reservations, okay? With the Mandal Commission and all, and a lot of acts. So these are now transformed again. At every stage, everything good is transformed. Aditya Nigam asserted the political and ideological caste politics that has been prevalent. The growing assertion of the Dalit over the 3 decades has been compiled here. Okay, next. Now we will go back to Hira Dome, I've written already. Swami, okay. Now we come down to African American. Now, African American society with the civil rights movements and racism faced by African American in the US and caste discrimination. This is a long story. I have got some names of the women especially, and they fought. The voting rights were not given to the women. They were then and even before that, the civil rights movement, the Negroes, as far as I remember, I had some relatives in Washington. So all these from my own 100 years of my birth, I'm telling you my own experiences of, how communities, politics. First of all, my father coming from Lahore, now caste and gender and community. And so African Americans, the civil rights movement has changed them. They were called Negroes. They were called nobody. Even the White House was said, turn it into black. Suraj Yangda, lawyer and presently a research scholar with the W.E. Bai. Now they said Dalit solidarity has to go hand in hand with Black solidarity. The reason Dalit and Black power can talk to each other is because there is energy between them, said Suraj Yangde. He is presently a research institution at Harvard University. Yenge asserted that caste system in India has been perpetuated. Now, we have all okay. Now, the first Dalit literature started with a conference in Bombay in 1915, and basically 1970, Dalit literature started with the reform movements and everything. The whole idea of distribution, pattas was given to the Dalit and the Dalit's livelihood, and lots of things were done by the government. We have to fight with the government and the people holding power, because see, there is a fight, there is a struggle. First, your struggle with your own self. First, you have to struggle, then you come to society, then you have to maneuver yourself with people and everybody. Now, there are if there is no work, you know, like in the untouchable Bakha and Lakha, they're just drinking that, you know, that gutka type, and the father is not bothered what his son is doing. He's cleaning the latrines, no problem. I'm happy with just sitting idle and doing nothing. India has a tendency, I think the people have a tendency, you don't have to be lazy. Just by praying and doing all kinds of religious assertions, just chanting the rhymes of the rights of whatever it is, so you have to be individually very strong. You don't have to be lazy, I feel, and work hand in hand with each and every person. Now, there was also Ambedkar Nama. Then you had Putishta, again anti-intellectual. Doesn't mean if you are educated, you are intellectual. Now we have skill development. You see, everybody did not get a foundation. Like we tell our grandchildren, go to primary education has to be very strong. You can leave education in the middle, but your primary education, it has to be very, very strong. The Dalit Panthers constitute and Ambedkar. And this is the Dalit movement. Before this, I would like to speak about the Dalit Panthers, which constitute an Ambedkarite social organization that forms a literature of Namdeo Desai, Arjun Dangle, Rajdhani. I would have liked to continue telling you lots about each and everything, but I think I will go. In the 1970s and they advocated Buddhism. Even Buddhism was like they explained, I think Mahavir was 4 rights, and Buddhism, the 7 rights to reach the nirvana. It's my school history. So right conduct, right something you have to, and then you will do well. So this is it. These Dalit Panthers were motivated by the Black Panther Party, a socialist and communist party that proclaimed to stop racial and economic discrimination. Now, discrimination in the Bhagavad Gita, there is no, they don't believe in discrimination. Everybody is equal. Now, which verse and all, I was going through it, but let's see, we can maybe later sometime. Dalit Panther literature consisted of writers like, now they supported Marathi literature, and the Black Panther newspaper was popular. Raja Dhale's Kala Swatantrata Din, published in Sadhana, a Black Panther publication. B.R. Ambedkar's Republican Party of India soon had many factions. See, this is what happened. Congress party changed to Congress I. How will you progress if you don't have a uniform social togetherness to work for? If you, in your own individual capacity and as a society, today BJP is there. Today Jansangh changed to BJP, UPA will combine with, you can't move. 5 years, 10 years, you will move. Then something with the social organization, and then there is a spiritual game in the top. So you can't go more than 10 years, 200. But after, say, 200 years, The basic consequence was of the 4 years. Now, wherever, like I come from the Chhattisgarh, we come from the Chhattisgarh state, law and order is very good. And nobody has the time to talk. They're working hard and there are no. In Tom Jones and Charles Dickens, you see that person is doing, the child is only doing some kind of mischief, stealing, pickpocketing. So it starts, you teach the child to pickpocket, you have broken homes, you don't know which direction to go to. You don't have Anganwadis. So the government has to be very, the system and the rules of the constitution is itself being changed. So you have to be very, very, the more forward we are going, the more even cyber crime is leading to all these kind of. Dalit movement has improved to a certain extent, but again, other kind of issues will turn. So what I'm talking about is a merger with uniformity. The hope is always there till you die. So for a merger, I don't believe in, say, socialist or communist, but you have to work together as a team. If you have the money, you please see that your people who are working for you are comfortable with all the labor laws, and the systems should work, and dignity of labor. Okay. Now, beginning now post-independence time, people had taken care with a lot of social movements. Dalit were neither as an identity as a whole. See, 1950, first of all, the slum area in Bombay, nor were there any endeavor undertaken no systems were working actually. Everybody is working for gaining, the rich are becoming richer even today. The poor people have nowhere to go. They don't have a, like what way to go, Rasta. Economically, they had no resources of production. See, you can't say I'm going to work. You need some kind of resources, some kind of benefits, loans, production of property, something you need. Even if you open a tea stall, you need some kind of help from your counterparts. But things have happened. Startups are there. 2 or 5 ladies have started making achar, and people have gone. I know these people who made pickles have gone far away in opening up factories. People who used to business houses who were running around, the children today have become old. Before around 1947, they were giving food in the railway to every train, and now become caterers of all India and all that. So there is nothing, there is always a hope. No power position now you have. Obama have, you have with Obama coming in, we need sophisticated, decent personalities to lead the nation. Abdul Kalam, what do you need so much of money for? Sulking about their rights, self-respect, esteem, and even materials gain. Okay. Now the reforms, I will just like to highlight reforms. And the Dalit reformer was first of all Lord Gautama Buddha, who gave preaching of eradicating untouchability. In the 19th century, Brahmo Samaj, Dayananda, I think, was the creator. Then Arya Samaj and the Ramakrishna Mission, Vivekananda, his disciple, actively participated in the liberation of Dalit. Mahatma Gandhi, Jyotirao Phule, then Shinde, he wrote Ambedkar Nama, started several reformation movements of Dalit in Maharashtra. In West Bengal, Chaitanya Prabhu initiated a movement called Namo Shudra movement, which changed an attitude towards the untouchabilities community. The aim of all these movements was to liberate the Dalit from the oppressive forces in the India. Now we have to see everything in a global manner. Gandhiji was not allowed to travel when the Britishers were there, when he was working for Satyagraha and the independence. He was not allowed to travel in first class. He spoke good English. He was a lawyer and doctor. And now we don't have a third class, and we have AC sections. When I was in the 7th standard, I think AC compartment started. but he was kind of no, he was humiliated, and he was turned from the first class to the third class. There was a third class at that time. Dr. B, and he was didn't have money, so he was traveling with, and then he was humiliated very badly for the Britishers. Now, even Dr. Ambedkar, Surendranath Banerjee, he studied, even with Subhash Chandra Bose. How much could he fight alone? He was in the ICS. He's left his bureaucratic power. And Surendranath Banerjee, the Britishers, started giving them English was made compulsory to sit for the exam, and horse riding was an important subject. And still, now I don't know. I have read they studied under the street light. There was no electricity, adverse conditions. All right, we have gone through it. Now, if you take it from the global manner, now China, Dr. China also. Now, if you see, the first generation have worked very hard. Now, if you see China, first of all, they had a population cut in the society. Now you see, now the people who worked is actually the people who suffered. Nowadays also, when India Pak war, the children saw the partition, saw the, the immensity of being deprived of rations and food and shelter. They work hard, but now the children have to be trained to offer a good, they become lax in their roles, and they are again misled in their virtues. Dalit literature rejects the Hindu beliefs of the Varna order, which I've already expressed, the Vedas and Shastras, Upanishads. Dalit literature denies this Hindu mentality, as Taratan Khandekar, a Dalit writer, put it. Man is a centrifugal force in the philosophy of Dalit literature. Man is supreme. Again, the spiritual concepts of the Bhagavad Gita, if you go to verse 3, 4, chapter 4, Bhagavad Gita is a 700 verses are there, a source of Upanishads, and everything, our ancient heritage from Vedas to Upanishads to science, geography, even the West did not even know that the earth was round, nothing is permanent. There was a very big story of Ved Vyas. He was a very big, rich Brahman, and he went in and he was a little proud of himself that, see, I'm very proud. Then what did one Swami do? He sent about small ants to him, small ants in his room. He says, why are you sending? I am a big Brahman. So he said, don't worry, it's only a matter of 100 years. Next age, you will become an ant. So you don't be, don't, everything is subjected to decay. Everything is subjected to decay. This is what I'm trying to emphasize. With every decade, there is resurgence, new creation. Therefore, does not accept the maxim, Satyam Shivam Sutra. Okay. Now, on the other hand, proclaims nothing is true, is not applicated. Man's sublime freedom, freedom of spirit, freedom of thought, freedom, everything is there in the Constitution, but there are so many fights. The transformation of the, to denounce identity of these so-called to a self-chosen identity, as well as is a story of composite struggle waged over centuries. The style of the covers a wide range of literary genres. Oriya Dalit writers, I would like to speak something about that. Let's read it. They are rage now. This is Namdev Desai. They are awakened from this mass slum area. See, slumber. They will burn down the establishment for their bread and butter. I feel very hungry, even though I'm a sugar patient, but I can't starve for all and are ready to shed the blood of society. That is. Now we go down to African American, just to highlight a few authors who have written on slavery, on the Black movement. Doris Bennett's book, The Bluest Eye, talks about the white racial identity. When the Africans moved towards America, the Blacks were not even thought of as human beings. They were like animals. It was like they were another species and they need to be changed. Alice Walker. I have the photographs of all this because one of my students did a research paper on this, and each and every story, and I had a lot of tears in my eyes when I was reading it. Search for identity, the why of it for African Americans. When the treatment was bad, they started thinking of escaping from the bondage. You can't even escape. They even thought of escaping to faraway lands. It took more than a century for the White House to be painted black. Many issues that plagued the African Americans. The issues were related to slavery, to racism, to discrimination, segregation, and even the quality of life. Black Panther newspaper was Swatantra Din, published in Sadhana, a Black Panther publication. Ensuring access to education. Now, education is important, but how to be educated when you have people, six children, control not over the population, you can't feed yourself, then how will you study? For the Dalit community of India has been the greatest challenge for the Dalit of the Indian government in diminishing the social effects of the caste system, which still remains entrenched in India. It gained its from. Now we have a lot of human rights, League of Nations, United Nations, through and through. But what is happening in Ukraine and Russia? It's all now, all these refugees will come. When Bangladesh refugees came, again a section of society, despite efforts to decrease caste discrimination and increase national social program, the Dalit of India continue to experience low enrollment rates and a lack of access to primary education. Primary education. When my daughter teaches her ABC and she gets very, even if you have domestic violence, education, especially primary education, so that you can do whatever you want afterwards, is a must. And you must not miss, the children should not miss out in the education. Okay. The Dalit population represents 16% of the country's population and still struggles to achieve social equality. You know, social, I can't have, even though there is a, a very intelligent girl, I can't make her sit at the same level. Dalit have experienced, maybe, the Dalit have experienced a bit of progress in establishing an equal position in Indian society under the Pune Act. A reserved number of seats in the national legislature was reserved for Dalit candidates, only who would be elected based solely on the votes of the Dalit. Again, reservation. It works for, say, 10 years. Then people themselves take, even woman gender, you help the woman and they themselves trouble the, the law and the legislature. Anyway, this is for us to speculate then. Next. People's Education Society was formed in 1945. Access to education to the Dalit would increase their empowerment. The 1991 census of India reported those Dalit communities, 30% of Dalit children recognized to have basic reading and writing skills. In April 1950, the Caste Disabilities Removal Act theoretically abolished all the Mandal Commission and PM Morarji Desai with a mandate to identify the socially educated. Okay. Or hai? Okay, sorry. Now, I think this much is enough to just give you a insight into what I want, into what to say. So I conclude here and waiting for the questions which are going to be followed. Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, as the topic is vast and need keen knowledge about it. So with all kinship, ma'am, you have enlightened us. And now we are open to question and queries. You can either put your questions in chat box or ask openly to ma'am.
Srishti, please check if there are questions in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, there are few questions in the chat box.
Please read them out, Srishti.
I'm unable to get it, ma'am.
Yes. Now, can you just repeat it if you don't mind?
Ma'am, actually, there is some problem. I'm not getting the messages on my screen.
Okay, I will read it out and then tell me what. iSPELL would like to encourage people to open forums of iSPELL in Madhya
No, ma'am,
Pradesh.
that's not the question, ma'am. That's not the
Madam,
question.
who talked about well-balanced and revolt. Could you explain the context as if we talk about Dalit literature? Revolt is the base. Okay, now can I start? Now, a revolt is not it's just a reaction. Revolt, I feel, should not be, you can't revolt because every reaction has an opposite overreaction. You see, every reaction, then there are so many factions in India, unity, so many religions from 32 districts in one. Now Chhattisgarh will have 34 districts. I mean, I don't know, every year there are states and all. So what I explain, the moral level, the spiritual level, the working level should be taken care of. No revolt should be there. And the spiritual attitude should be there. Read the Gita and hope. My first word is hope in the title. Hope for a balance. Work first as an individual for the whole, help your society with education and keep hoping. You have only 100 years. We can't even hope after that. We will not be in this world. So I and you will not be after 100 years. So I don't believe in revolt. I believe in a happy society. Even if you don't get your 100% result, you will definitely, now you have our party and you have other communist social parties and they are all revolting. There were so many revolts, industrial revolution for the better industry, Russian revolution for the, again Russian revolution, again Ukraine Russian. So revolt is all as a part, but always believe in spirituality for a peaceful coexistence and hard work. Okay, next you want me to read that? There are other questions, what? I can't see any other question. कहाँ ये question नहीं है? Welcome to 79.
To what extent reservation in academics? Sorry, I just missed it. Questions are getting.
Yeah, there is a question. To what extent reservation in academics and in professional fields beneficial for Dalits?
Okay, now see, like supposing what I'm trying to say, there should not be complete reservation. I'm not a politician or a parliamentarian, but I am a social activist and an educationist. So I'm talking from this context. What I believe in, there should be no reservation. Reservation should be given in way from first year. So if you qualify this exam, then you will get a scholarship. You should start at that level. You know, now we have doctors who don't even know ABCD of medicine. So I don't believe in reservation. Again, primary education. After 12th, if you can't do, then we have options for skill development, distant education. You know, so first of all, reservation should be stopped because even people who are general category are going into that, giving false signatures and false Aadhaar cards, and so so you can't, you know, measure anybody. So scholarship, scholarship at every stage 6 months. But again, again that money, I'll tell you something, this is a fact. Again, that money, supposing there is a poor family, they will take the scholarship on one child's name and the whole family is eating. This is because of poverty and overpopulation in India. But still, I believe they should be because the quality of medical engineering colleges are good. Now, Ukraine, because they could not stay here. So they had to, we should have institutions at every level, for skill development based, for low academicians, and they should be respected. There should be dignity of labor again, dignity of working, and a merger in society. Yes, now, is it okay? Now, any other question you have?
Yes, ma'am. What is the similarity between as you compared Dalits with Afro-American literature, the movement? But how far do you think it's very similar? What are the points of similarity? Historically, it was very different, ma'am.
Historically, but not through experience. They experienced the same humility. Women were raped. They were thrown blacks. Then that's why the blacks took the Negroes, they were called. And they were, they were not used to go in the same train. And women and the untouchables also here, they were not used to enter the same tables. The 101% similarity was there. Only thing, they were born in another region, and that is called a racist problem. And this was called a Varna system, from the caste system. There's a lot of literature there also, because one of my scholars had done it, and I read the stories and I was crying and crying. But I enjoy reading, but the time is, there's a lot of similarity. In fact, there is nothing uncommon, the same kind. They were thrown out of the hotels, the temples, the white Americans, the white skin was, even today when I say this in front of a black, don't use the name black, they will kill you. In 1970s, my uncle was stabbed, in his stomach, just because he did not do anything. I don't know why. So these kind of things happen when you are not, the society is not comfortable. Yes. Yes, is it okay now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes. Any other
Anything
queries?
else you want? Anything
other
else
question?
you want?
I think there is one more question there. What is the meaning for social uniformity like?
Secular uniformity. What did you say? Secular.
No, ma'am. What is the? I just read one question here. I think it is from Shamsar or what. I'm not getting it on my screen clearly.
I don't have it on my screen either. You just reservation. Yeah. What is the meaning of hope for social? See, hope means when you live. वो कहते हैं ना Ram Rajya. Yes. Now, if you have a bad king, I had gone through the history of the Roman Empire. You say that king was not nice. Ram Rajya, when the people of the citizens are nice. Now, there are Greek kings. There was a lot of violence for power, lot of, a lot of only for power and money. There's a lot of things. So social uniformity means when the society is working hand in hand, and Anand mein jisko bolte, and hope is there, so that we all don't have fights every day in a family. We have work with the engineer, with our tap, the sweepers also. They are my friends. To consider the people. I can't sweep the floor. I can't sweep the floor. My house will be dirty. I can give them money, but I can't do it myself. So social uniformity, even when you are working. Now I have my technological persons. You can't build a factory without having 1,000 workers. You can't have financial systems working if your people, even one person, a rotten apple in one basket of good apples will spoil. So everybody should, now everybody liked Ram. This is the only example at the moment I can give you. But so when he came back, even after 14 years, he was accepted. and Ram Rajya. Ram Rajya itself is a meaning of social uniformity and a good, happy society. And there is hope. We can't have Ram Rajya. Can you say our society is a Ram Rajya society? No. So that's what I mean. Anything else you have to add?
Yes, Gacha ma'am, shall we proceed ahead?
Please do. If there are no more questions, we can proceed.
Yes,
I don't think there are any questions.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So as we proceed further to chair the session, we privileged to call upon Dr. Virendra Turkar. Before sir will give our lecture, I would like to tell something about him, that Dr. Turkar is working as an assistant professor of English at Yashwantrao Chauhan Arts and Commerce and Science College. He has done MPhil from Guru Ghasidas University, Bilaspur, and completed PhD in 2016 from Rashtra Sant Tukaroji Maharaj Nagpur University with the title The Study of Ernest Hemingway's Fictional World in the Light of Eco-Criticism. He has participated and presented papers in state, national, and international conferences. He has published research papers in reputed peer-reviewed international and UGC Care listed journals and contributed a chapter to a book. He has also worked as a member on an editorial board of an international peer-reviewed journal, Vidyavarta, for the publication of a special issue. This area of interest is the study of optimism in literary works. He has delivered various lectures as a resource person in seminars and also conducted various workshops. He is the convener of Maharashtra Forum of iSPELL India at present. Sir, I request you to please deliver your lecture. Sir, we are not audible.
Please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, Srushti ma'am, for giving such a nice introduction. And I am very thankful to the organizers for giving me a chance to chair such a wonderful session. Thanks, Dr. Garcha ma'am, and my special thanks to Dr. G.A. Ghansham sir, the General Secretary and founder of iSPELL. Sir, as it is the motto of our iSPELL India to facilitate, to elevate. Following and showing full faith in this principle, you have given chance to the new faces like me. Actually, you have brought the marginalized faces like me to the center through the iSPELL India. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me an opportunity and for your constant inspiration. Today's topic, actually, as Srushti ma'am has said, that I love optimism. It's my interesting, I'm very much interested in optimism, and today's topic starts with the very first word that signifies and that talks of optimism, hope for the social uniformity and the merger of Dalit community as decent and equal citizens of the country. Dr. Deepika Dhan ma'am has really delivered a very enlightening and insightful lecture on this topic covering almost all the aspects related to it within a stipulated time. It's not an easy thing to present such a topic within a limited time. And you have done it wonderfully, ma'am. Here, I would like to attract the attention towards the highlights of the lecture, of ma'am's lecture. Ma'am, you in the very beginning putting a stress on one thing, you said that not only in India but in the entire world, all the communities should be respected and honored. That's very true, ma'am. Everyone should get respect Then you explained the term Dalit, Dalita, how it is originated from the word Dalita. Then you talked of the important contribution of Jhumpa Lahiri, Anita Desai, Kiran Desai, whose work contain an overview of the condition of the Dalit. You also attracted the attention towards the fact that in 1958, Dalit literature was recognized as a separate literature in the conference which was held in Bombay. You highlighted the crucial and most pivotal role of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, whom you called as a crusader of downtrodden, very well described. His contribution is really peerless in the upliftment of Dalit community. There is no doubt, ma'am. Then you shed light on the plight of certain Dalit caste people by describing the petty works they had to do as downtrodden. You also expounded how Dr. Ambedkar focused on the elimination of caste, eradication of exploitation, and equal status for the untouchables. You highlighted the influence of Mahatma Gandhi on the movement for the upliftment of Dalit community, whom he used to call, I'm adding here, as Harijans, children of God. Here I would like to add that Gandhiji considered untouchability as the biggest blot on Hinduism, and his reform was action based. I would like to here share one anecdote from his life. In Porbandar, there broke plague, and the government employees refused to serve the people living in slum area, and the people were actually they were Dalits, they were downtrodden people. In that situation, Gandhiji took the initiative and he himself went into that area and he served the people. So this sort of action-based attitude, initiation is required on the part of all of us, which we rarely see in our society. And because of that, even today we have to hope for the social uniformity and the merger of Dalit community as decent and equal citizens of the country. After 74 years of independence, we have to organize webinars on such topic that shows that there is something definitely wrong in our community, in our society, in our country. So there we need to change our attitude. There should be a psychological change. And then you compared the situation of Afro-American people, African black people with the condition of Dalitas in our country. Ma'am, you expressed the need to work together irrespective of any sort of discrimination for the attainment of social uniformity. You also talked of the reformers in the beginning, among whom you took the name of Lord Gautam Buddha, who preached for the eradication of untouchability. The other reformers you mentioned include Mahatma Gandhi, Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, U.R. Shinde, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. All these reformers started various social movements for the liberation of Shudras from the age-old clutches of orthodox people. You highlighted the most important contribution of Babasaheb Ambedkar in the eradication of untouchability. You mentioned the name of great Dalit poet from Maharashtra, Namdev Dhasad. Yes, he is extremely revolutionary poet in Maharashtra who raised the various issues of Dalit community without any hesitation and without any fear in his poems. You also quoted the revolutionary lines from one of his poems. You also drew the attention to the works of some international writers like Toni Morrison. You also focused on the contribution of leading Dalit organization Black Panther. You shed light on the political steps taken by various taken by Indian government on various occasions in different times for the upliftment of Dalitas. But here I would like to add one thing, ma'am. Really, once again, I would like to appreciate that you have made a very uh, enlightening presentation on the topic. Really, you talked of various issues and the journey of Dalit literature also. And through that, you focused on, you put stress on the hope for the social uniformity and the upliftment of Dalita and equal status for Dalit people, untouchables. And here I would like to add at the end that there is need to bring psychological change in our attitude. Just few days back, I would like to share here the real life experience of one of our fellow teachers who belong to SC community. On the occasion of Jyotiba Phule's birth anniversary, we organized a program at our college, and our principals are asked some of the teachers to share their opinions. At that time, one teacher came on the stage and he shared his experience, which he had just few days back. When he went to search a room on rent for himself, he visited so many houses. And at some houses, he observed that the owners of houses rejected him. Refused to give their room to him on rent just because he belonged to Dalit community. They first gave their consent, and finally when they asked him about his caste, actually see, even today we people ask others about their caste. When they asked him about his caste, and when he told them, having heard, they rejected him. They refused to give their room to him on rent. This is what happening in our country even today. And so I think the hope for social uniformity is disturbed by this sort of experiences. What happened in Hathras, I would like to attract the attention of all of you towards that fact. A Dalit girl was gang raped. She was badly beaten. She was strangled. Somehow she was saved for some days, and finally she died in a hospital. Her mother and her brother was trying to get justice. But you know what happened in her case? The upper caste men in Hathras organized rallies to protest against that Dalit victim and her family. They tried to suppress their efforts to get justice. They pressurized them. Even today, this sort of situation is there in our country. Vemula commits suicide. And what does he write in his suicide note? He writes that as I belong to Dalit community and I tried to protest against the unlawful decisions of the system, I tried to struggle for the justice for the people of my community. The system victimized me. They took strict action against me. They banished me. They expelled me from the hostel. And in a very adverse situation, he had to commit suicide. And in his suicide note, he clearly mentioned that only because of the pressure created on him, just because of only one fact that he belonged to SC community, he was hated by the other communities or he was victimized by the system. So this sort of situation is even today in our country, which urges us to be very much serious about this issue and bring change in our psychology also, in our mental attitude also, just only with the help help of words and by organizing certain programs, we can't bring change, and we can't hope for the social uniformity and the merger of Dalit community as decent and equal citizens of the country. We need to change ourselves, even psychologically and mentally also. Thank you very much, organizers, for giving me such a precious opportunity on such a gracious occasion. And again, I would like to appreciate Dr. Deepika Dhan ma'am, that she really very well described the topic. Thank you very much. That's all from my side.
Thank you so
Am I
much.
audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. This topic is really very sensitive as well, very vast, and it's we are so thankful to you, Dhan ma'am and Durkar sir, that you have given us such knowledgeable lecture over this topic in such a precise way, and in such a beautifully you have explained the topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Karsha ma'am, can we proceed ahead?
Yes.
Yes, now I would like to invite Garsha ma'am to do the honor of presenting certificate of appreciation to our distinguished guest.
Saying thank you is more than good manners. It's good spirituality. And we must find time to stop and thank the people who make a difference in our life, says John F. Kennedy. On this platform, the people who have made the difference by enlightening us with their knowledge and support, it is a humble duty to express our gratitude. May I request Pramod ji to unfurl the token of appreciation. It is my honor to present this certificate of recognition to our keynote speaker, Professor Deepika Dhan, Pro Vice Chancellor, Maths University, Raipur. Thanks, ma'am, for your elaboration of the real life of Dalit community and beautifully analyzing the journey of the oppressed Dalits in India from social, economic, political exploitation to achieve their identity. You have very beautifully compared Blackism and the discrimination of the Blacks and the oppression to the Indian Dalit life. This certificate is in grateful acknowledgement of your expertise, professional competence, and invaluable support rendered. It is my proud privilege to present. Please accept this token of appreciation, ma'am. Ma'am, are you there? Dhan, ma'am. It is my proud privilege to present this certificate to Dr. Virendra Turkar, Assistant Professor of English, Yashwant Rao Chauhan College, Lakhandur, Bhandara. Thank you, sir. This is for your professional competence and the expertise which you have showed today. For beautifully summing up the session, you have given a very comprehensive and very detailed highlights of the lecture and putting your own valuable insight and inputs to the lecture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you
for your summing up.
Thank you.
Moderating requires skills and expertise, and Ms. Srishti Sharma has very deftly handled this responsibility. This certificate of appreciation goes to Ms. Srishti Sharma, Lecturer of English, Swami Atmanand, Excellence Government English Medium School, Dongargarh. During this hard times, the man who kept us united and not apart, and deserves a very special acknowledgement and that is Pramod ji. Without you, Sahityik Satsang would not be practically feasible. I thank the mastermind of iSPELL, Professor G. A. Ghansham, for his initiative, vision, commitment, support, and the opportunity. And it is his efforts which has all brought us together on this platform. If the only prayer you said in your whole life was thank you, that would suffice, says Mr. Eckhart. And thus, my only prayer to you all is thank you, everyone, for your presence and support. And one has to move on. And next Sunday, we will be meeting again with another session, with another Sahityik Satsang on the relevance of Bhagavad Gita and the Karma theory on the 27th of March. And I would like to hand over the platform to Shrishti ma'am to render vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. I must remark a proficient sense of gratefulness. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to our esteemed delegates of the webinar for their presence and contribution to make this Sahitya Satsang a great success. I extend my gratitude to our honorable keynote speaker, Dhan ma'am, for her sparkling words and finest literary study of the topic. Also thankful for giving her vital time from her busy schedule to grace this event and for adjourning necessary work and sharing with us graceful opinion. Also thankful to Turkar sir for giving your precious time to grace the event. It is delightful to have such a light guest. Thank you, sir, for delivering such knowledgeable lecture. I take this occurrence to be thankful to my mentor, my teacher, my inspiration, Dr. Garcha, for providing immense support and having faith on me and my work. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, I would like to show my gratitude to our very respected and backbone of iSPELL Forum, Ghansham sir. Sir, we are not only thankful, but also beholden by your efforts, enthusiasm, and active participation for each event. Grateful for your support and cooperation. Thank you so much. Now, at the last but not the least, thankful, grateful to the entire iSPELL members, even coordinator, our technical in charge, Pramod sir, and all the participants. I show appreciation to all of you. You have been the strength of this association and lectures. I heartily show my thankfulness for being with us throughout the session. It has remained a pronounced pleasure. Have a great day and coming working week ahead. Thank you so much.
With the permission of our General Secretary, Professor G. A. Ghansham, I declare the